Adam Fugitt on the show, fighting out of Art of War. Can we get the origin story of how that all started at Art of War? Like that's your day one camp, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I finished up wrestling. I was looking for some more, I don't know, just something to fulfill my competitiveness needs, and I ended up finding this jujitsu guy. And shortly after getting with him, he ended up merging with Art of War, that's owned and ran by Jason Georgiano, my head coach. And I stepped in there probably about a year after like doing jujitsu for a little bit, and stepped on the mat for my first Muay Thai class, where I met my Muay Thai instructor, Cobb Tong Sai. And yeah, man, my first Muay Thai class, I got my butt kicked by one of the amateur fighters. Just, I don't know. I guess I had that that wrestler confidence, where, once you've wrestled, everything else is easy. And so I stepped on the mat, not knowing a lick of any kind of striking, and kind of got my butt kicked. So I spent 3 years doing that. And then 2012 came around, and I transitioned back to mixed martial arts, basically joining Jason Georgiana's fight team. And that's kind of where it all took off. I'm a little late to the party, a little late to the game. So I'm trying to make up for lost time. And, hopefully I can do that and maybe make it fashionably late, show up and go in and get some, nice victories.
I saw one of the a podcast that you were on, and you were saying that you actually don't have a UFC contract. So that's the first time I ever heard of that. You fought on your UFC debut on a pay-per-view, and then they bring you back for this second fight that we got next week, and you don't have a contract with the UFC. How does that typically work out?
As far as I know, I don't have a multi-fight contract. So I don't want to be saying I don't, but I don't remember signing anything but the Michael Morales fight and then signing this fight. So I feel like they're kind of doing this. This guy had a good performance, and he's showing some potential. Let's see what he's got, and they've given me basically another opportunity to come in and prove myself. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
So does that put added pressure to yourself coming into this fight next week? Because since you don't have a contract, are they kind of saying like, if you get a nice performance here, then we can get you a 3-fight deal?
I haven't had any talks about that. I'm kind of just, I don't know. Since the pandemic and everything, I've gotten really good at just kind of living in the moment and letting life take me where it goes. And I hope to impress them this next Saturday coming up, and hopefully that gets me a new contract. That's what I'm searching for, is that next contract. But I just take it one day at a time, and I don't try to look too far ahead. That brings on some anxiety, and I try not to dwell too much in the past, because that will bring up some depression or whatnot. Missed opportunities and such.
Oh yeah, but I think the age factor with you doesn't matter right now. You're 35, young man, and we've seen Glover. He was 42 and became champion. So you still got a lot of gas in the tank, and you're going against a new opponent. He's 22, a young buck here.
The young buck here.
You definitely have, I feel like, in my experience, in my knowledge, the experience over him, and I can see you. Yeah. We want to see you getting this win on Saturday night.
I appreciate that. I really do. That's hey. Yeah, I got a young buck, and he likes to throw hands. He likes to be a bit of a gunslinger, and he's not afraid of a good fight, throwing hands. And what it comes down to is, I don't know why we don't say this more in our sport. I'm going to try to bring it into our sport, but I believe believe in that whole defense wins championships kind of thing, so got to come in, make sure that my defense is on point, make sure that I'm not giving him any kind of, avenues to work with, any kind of overextending or any of that stuff. And I got to just be on my game and, I think I'm going to have a good night. Keep it at my pace and at my space, and look to find my controls if he gets past some of my longer range weapons, and I think it'll all go my way.
Nice, yeah. And I was interested to see. I was interested to hear and how you see him as a competitor, and so we are kind of expecting a little bit of a stand-up battle from him then, and you're gonna have the wrestling advantage in this fight. So really looking forward to seeing you next week,
For sure, man. I'm trying. I definitely want to make up for my mistake in the Morales fight after I got him on the ground. Went a little too quick into that guard pass and paid the price for it. So I want to get back in there and show everybody not only was that just if I had any kind of pre-game jitters, that's where it showed up.
right?
Uh,
Because
you know, um,
you fought in a big arena, right?
Pay-per-view event.
Pay-per-view
And it
event.
was
sure.
UFC debut, and you
man.
took the fight on 9 days' notice. So we just listed a whole bunch of problems that you're not going to be facing this time around.
And you still went out there and fought your heart out.
You sure did. You put in a good show, and I feel like you're going to be doing the same thing next week.
Now you're fighting in the Apex. There's got to be, of course, a little bit of disappointment because you don't get to go to another country, you don't get to fight in front of fans, but you get to have a little bit more focus. Is any part of you relieved that you get to kind of just focus on the fight and not have fans there for once?
Well, you try to find the silver lining where you can. I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of the potential jet lag or the time zone change and that stuff. I was very much looking forward to, experience in South Korea, as I've said plenty of times. Getting to see new cultures, getting to travel. That's a part of the business, that us fighters get to experience, and that's something I like and enjoy. But yeah, I'm gonna be glad that I don't have to deal with any of those time zone things or the jet lag. And as far as like fans being there, fans not being there, um, at the end of the day, I just look at it as I'm hired to go in there and put on an entertaining show for millions of fans around the world. Behind the TV screens or behind the laptops and phones. And that's what I'm going to do. The fans are going to be there. Just because I can't hear them or see them doesn't mean that they're not. So,
yeah, I love that. You fight with the fans in mind, no matter what, if they're in sight or not in sight.
I mean, they don't fight for you.
What fight of yours do you find to be your favorite because it helps you level up? Like, which fight was just your absolute favorite to recall back on, and you feel like it really helped you level up as a fighter?
There's two fights that come to mind. One that definitely helped me like level up, and that was the New York fight, the Solomon Renfro fight. That helped me for sure level up and got me noticed. That's the one that got me in the UFC. I guess it would be three because the Morales fight, man, just that whole experience was amazing. But for as far as we'll talk about prior to the UFC stuff, the other fight would be the second Hawaii fight against Reno Remigio. Tough guy, came in with a good game plan, and he literally tried to outmaneuver me on the chessboard with his game plan, and it definitely took me outside of my comfort zone and made me realize, like, hey, man, there's these guys out there that you're going to be fighting. They're going to be watching film and studying you, and they're going to game plan and come away in there and try to take away some of your favorite weapons. And you have to be more well-rounded. You can't just rely on a couple of things. Being a well-rounded fighter is, I think, the key to a victory. Unless you got those that
Pangano haymakers and
special move.
You got that Kareem hook shot, that Kareem Abdul hook shot. You're gonna have to,
for sure,
change it up.
and that's what's being talked about a lot is that wrestling is such an important factor
in the sport nowadays.
Having a ground game, and not necessarily even being able to wrestle like the best NCAAs, but knowing how to at least deflect like the best wrestlers. We see Jamal Hill, he's not known for his wrestling. However, he was able to survive with one of the scariest ground game experts that there is in that division in Glover Teixeira. So I count that as having a good ground game.
Yeah, if it's good enough not to be taken down against someone as good as Glover, then you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
Do you watch the sport? Are you a fan, or is this just a job for you coming in here?
No, I do enjoy watching fights. I enjoy paying attention and stuff. But as far as how much I've been able to pay attention since being in camp, as I've been
Yeah.
focused on myself for sure. But being a little selfish with that. But
Well, we're going to ask you for a prediction here at the Call Out Podcast. We usually do. Well, what do
yeah.
you think about this upcoming event between Leon Edward and Usman for the trilogy here? What do you
Yeah,
got? What do you got?
I just made my prediction on that like literally earlier today, and I'm stuck on that one because I look at it two ways. As fighters and as fight fans, we get caught up in the zero at the end of the record, right? Like, but not everybody's gonna be Habib. Not everybody can be him. Um,
I'm
and
glad you bring that up because I feel like a lot of times people are looking at the you have to go undefeated or on a crazy fight streak. UFC fans have bad memory. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
we forget so fast.
That's true.
I feel like there is a lot of people already putting Usman down just because he has that one loss on his record now.
Yeah, they start to lose all faith in
and see, and that so that's the question I have for these people is like, do you really know who you are as a fighter if you haven't tasted that, defeat? Do you really know? Or is it one defeat going to kind of deter you? And I just don't see that with Kamar, especially coming from a wrestling background. I know he suffered L's in his life with wrestling, so I just honestly think this is going to make him a better fighter. I think we're going to see the best version of Kamar Usman. But in that same sense, Leon Edwards knows. I just went 4.5 rounds with this man. And I damn near I was a half a minute away from losing, and I got me the W. I think that confidence boost is going to put him, almost to the next level as well.
And don't forget it's in his hometown too.
What's that?
Don't forget it's in his hometown too as well. So now it's in his backyard. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, he does have that momentum going against him now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I look for in this fight is fight of the year potential. And I don't really care who wins it. I just see fight of the year. I think both guys, I think Kamar coming off that L is going to be motivated to get in there, and then he's going to just elevate to the next level. And I think Leon getting that W is probably giving him the next level confidence. And you're just going to see two of the best welterweights, the two best welterweights in the world going at it. And I think you're going to get fight of the year.
Next month, we got Islam versus Alex Volkanovski, and I think that's potential to be fight of the year.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that being fight of the year. What do you think, Adam? Who do you got?
I'm going Volk on this.
Hey, let's go! We're Team Volk over here too.
All the way.
Yeah, I'm going Volk on this. I love the way that he fights. The way that the space and the pace that he fights at. It's going to be difficult for Islam to get a hold of him. And I think he's fought the better strikers. To be honest, I think he's fought the better strikers, especially going against somebody like Max.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look for Islam. I like how he really controls the fight. People, I don't think people understand how much he controls the fight, his space and his pace. If you look at him, he's real hard and real crafty to hit. That's going to make him real hard and real crafty to grab a hold of. So Islam's going to really have to have his takedowns dialed in, because I don't think shoving him up against the cage is, him being so squatty, it's going to be real hard to take him down up off the cage, So I think that's, Islam's going to have to time his shots. He's going to have to get those takedowns off of Volk coming forward. Volk can be, a pressure fighter and just as good as the next guy, right? He uses a lot of angles, a lot of movement side to side, and I think that's going to be frustrating for Islam. But if he does sting Islam, he is going to be able to go forward with his pressure, and he's gonna do it way better than Charles. And that's not a knock on Charles, but I just didn't understand the game plan with Charles. I understand you're a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you have a lot of that confidence. But why would you want to go to a place that is the other guys? You're fighting fire with fire. Yeah, you're real good off your back, Charles, but Islam's real good on top. And so I don't know why you wanted to, risk that game. We know Islam's not that confident in his striking. He's not the best. We've seen him get knocked out before. make him have to fight in an area that he's not 100% confident in. Don't take him to his his backyard and basically put him in his favorite position. And I think that's going to be, we're going to see that from Volk. He's not going to really get tied up that much. If he gets taken down, he's short, squatty, he's powerful. He's going to be hard to hold down. And if he stings Islam, he's going to be an intelligent pressure fighter enough that he's not going to overcommit and get taken down. He's going to constantly cut him off and put him up against the cage.
But what I am fearful is Volkanovski is not known to be a TK artist. Like, he doesn't knock people out like that. Like, he went to decision with Aldo. He also went to decision with 3 times against Max Holloway, decision with Ortega. He's not someone who really goes out there and knocks someone out. So how do you see this really playing out?
Except for Chad, it kind of depends on what situation.
But Chad was kind of out the door. So it's going to be a very tough fight because I don't see Volkanovski knocking Islam out, and I don't see Islam doing the same.
Just because a person doesn't have those knockouts on his record doesn't mean that he doesn't hit hard. And I think he's got enough in his, and I think he's got enough power and he hits hard enough. If he didn't hit hard enough, Max Holloway would have been up in his grill the whole time, just pressing.
Yeah.
Max Holloway has no qualms about being a pressure fighter, throwing himself into the flames and saying, "Let's go." We've seen that time and time again. I think Volk hits hard enough to definitely get that respect. Like, you can't just walk into my space, and he's used to being the shorter fighter, but how long he fights is really amazing. So I could see it going a decision, and I could see Islam having some real troubles at taking Volk down.
We had a fight that just got announced, Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns in your division. What are your thoughts on that matchup? We know that Gilbert Burns wanted to fight Colby, so he didn't quite get it. But
yeah, man, Gilbert is I think he's a fan favorite. He's at least one of my favorites. The guy gets in there against the who's who. He doesn't run from fights. He's game all the time, and he's been active. And as we've seen in some of these other fights, it's about the person that's being active, that's staying in there. That comes and pulls these fights out. And not that Jorge's been off a bunch of, for a long, long time, but, I think Gilbert's had 2 more fights than he has in that amount of time. So I'm going to give it to Gilbert for sure. And especially after he went in there, took Neil Magny down and subbed him the way he did. He got him out of there real quick. And, maybe Gil's wife will come back into play again and tell him he need to go in there and get the sub and don't bang with these guys,
Hey, honestly, maybe listen to the wife.
Listen to the wife.
Yeah.
Happy wife.
That's
Yes, sir.
But seriously, that is the game. That should be the game
plan. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Happy wife, happy life, right? So, you listen, huh?
Yeah, beating someone like Jorge Masvidal would do really big things for his career.
Yeah.
Too. So that actually
the BMF.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
I know what you're thinking about.
Do you think Jorge Masvidal should always put that belt on the line? Do you think he should?
Because they should fight for the belt right now.
They should fight for the BMF. Why not? Like, make that interesting.
I mean, if he has to put it on the line always, does he still have it after he lost to Colby?
Ooh, yeah, true. Colby's
and actually, prior to that, Colby didn't even get a shot at it because he lost it to Kamar, didn't he?
Well, it was Nate. Then yeah.
So I love that you said that. Do you know why I bring it up? It's because Dana White and UFC are still promoting him like the BMF. Even though he lost, because that fight was that. His belt was never. I guess that's just something that was a one-time.
It has to be because I mean I don't know how you're still the BMF after you lost. I mean there's nothing against losing to the champ. Kamar's the champ, but you lost to him, so that would mean that Kamar's got the belt. And if we don't want to count it, if we're like, oh, only the welterweight title was on the line, then you definitely lost it against Colby. And I don't know if you can be the baddest motherfucker.
Back on the streets because he went and gave him that 2-piece outside the restaurant.
Oh, he did. That's right.
So I guess he does have it back. He is a bad motherfucker because he went in the streets.
He got his belt back.
Yeah.
That's go get his belt.
Hey, I heard you say in one of the podcasts that you want to come out here on Saturday night and be an entertaining fighter. And I want to ask this to a lot of fighters: do you feel like being an entertaining fighter, overcomes and getting the win? Because people used to say that Khabib would go out there and just wrestle you, and it wasn't very entertaining. And I feel like we appreciated him more after he retired. And now we see how useful grappling is, and how it's actually an art of its own.
Yeah.
Or do you feel
For
like you
sure.
go out there and bang and try to get the knockout every time, and that's how you
Regardless of getting the win, just
put on a
Yeah.
show?
putting on a show.
Yeah, because I don't know if you saw the Kevin Holland versus Stephen Wonderboy. I feel like Kevin Holland had many opportunities to finish that fight and win, go home, and
But he went the entertainer route.
yeah, and I just felt like that didn't work out for him. But it honestly does, because it ended up getting him more fights and more money long way.
For sure. I just don't think that there's any like right solution here. I, for my own personal reason, want to be an entertaining fighter. And I know I've said a couple of times in the recent month or so that I want to get that KO, but I'm also at the end of the day a mixed martial artist, and if I got to get the finish on the ground or get the referee to stop in, then so be it. And if I have to go to a decision, I mean, okay, as we can see in some of these last recent fights, like I just don't trust judges. I don't know what they see. They haven't been in the same kind of rooms as me and competed, and so I don't trust somebody that's never been in this sport that hasn't competed on the level that I have to make that decision for me. But it does come down to that from time to time. I don't like it, but I'm going to do everything I can in there, and I want fans to know that I'm trying to. I'm hunting that finish, be it the KO, the TKO, the sub, whatever I got to do, and I'm not proud of my losses, but getting putting yourself out there and potentially getting finish yourself is a risk that I take. I'm well aware of that, but I'm not going to let that be a factor that stops me from going after it.
And pursuing that TKO. We're gonna be watching on Saturday night. We can't wait for a show, man.
Yeah, we definitely can't wait. And about the refs, you're right. Last year was terrible, and it's sad that that's a thing that we don't want to leave it to the judges. And even Dana White himself admits it. He says, "Hey, don't leave it to the judges." It's kind of sad that we can't rely on
A better
that,
system, yeah. Like for him to say that is very disappointing. Like you should get better judges, because decision.
Or something.
Yeah, because if I want to go to decision because I feel like I'm making all the right moves, I shouldn't be worried when the judge's scorecard comes out.
And maybe Elon can do something high tech so they can do like some computers or something, so the computers could, I don't know, just spitball.
Well, that was kind of the funny thing. When I went to the PI, they gave me the breakdown of my fights, and the first round we were tied and significant strikes landed. The second round I lost significant strikes by like one or two punches. But if I go back and watch the fight over, I'm being told like this guy's outstriking me, like it almost felt like it was like 6-1 or something. And I just never understood. It's like, where are those numbers coming from? Like I know that I do absorb a lot of punches, but I take them off in my guard a lot, and in boxing when you're punching mitts or you're punching forearms, they don't, they count that as a block. That actually goes for the other guy. That's why Floyd Mayweather was so amazing. This guy's taking punches. Yeah, no, he's got the shoulder roll, he's got the glove parry coming up. He's really being active, and defense in our sport is its own art form. So just having a tight defense and everything, I don't think you should be penalized for that. And so it was interesting to see those numbers when I went to the PI and realized like, oh, okay, we can't always rely on the commentators to tell us the true story of the fight as well. The first round when I got that takedown, the way that I think it was Anik was, oh man, commenting on me, taking one of those punches off of I actually parried it. I parried the first punch and rolled in for like a takedown, and he grabbed an underhook and tried to circle to that side, which gave me the inside trip. But if you would have been watching from home, or if you're not very educated in the sport. Like you would have thought that he just took my head off with the reaction the commentator just gave,
Right.
and
I'm glad you bring that up because that is also another thing too, right? That some of the fighters not necessarily have a gripe over, but it is kind of a thing that they'll have these moments where they make things seem worse or better than it is to kind of add a little bit more juice,
for sure. And they're human, everybody,
right.
so I
Yeah.
don't hold it against him. I was actually quite surprised that that DC gave me some of that credit, after the inside trip, like that.
Of course, because he's a wrestler, so
Yeah,
that skill. We
he's
nerd
a
out.
wrestler, but he's a yeah. I don't know, man. I think it goes to my pre-fight interview with him and Anik and Olivi. Like he was, he was definitely. I felt like kind of going through the motions in that interview, and I can only imagine interviewing so many fighters. It kind of would get redundant, and. But he's definitely going through the motions, and for him to credit me with that takedown the way he did, like that I like that. That's the kind of respect I talk about when I go. It's like you might not like me when I walk in there, but I'm gonna earn that respect by the time I walk out, and that's what I mean by that,
All right, Adam. Well, hey, man. Once again, thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us. We look forward to seeing you next week, February 4th. You're looking good, man. You're sounding good. It looks like you're all there and you're ready for action.
Oh
Let
man,
fans know, man, where they can find you: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
yeah, man. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. Although I'm not on Twitter as much, I really suck at this social media thing. I need to figure it out or something, I'll just give a shout out to some guys, some sponsors that have been with me, through the pandemic. They've been supporting me. They've always believed in the dream. Brad's Cottage Grove Chevrolet, Evergreen Roofing with Curtis Large, Hot Valley Brewing. Of course, shout out to Art of War, Iridium Sports. I need to get in the habit of letting those guys feel the love too. They've helped me get to the UFC. They've pushed me over that edge. Peter Johannes, and to finalize it, the guy that's been helping me with my diet, Connor McAdams, and the guy helped me with my strength and conditioning, Tyler Tanaka at Convergence Physical Therapy or Sports, Physical Therapy. I can't thank those guys enough. I wouldn't be where I'm at, and I wouldn't feel how I feel right now if I wasn't for those guys.